Today's show is brought to you by My Patriot Supply Storable Food. Visit preparewithk2d4.com today. You'll save $100 off a full 4-week supply of emergency food from My Patriot Supply. That's preparewithk2d4.com today. Coming up on Talk is Cheap, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the Travis Walton abduction case in Arizona. This is one of the biggest cases, and a lot of people have talked about it. Let's break it down and see what it's all about on Talk is Cheap. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk, and talk is cheap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Dan Hofeld, for episode 158. And joining me is none other than Pete Holblad.
They were jacking DMT 70 years ago.
70 years ago, Jack and DMT.
It's like candy.
Yeah, how you doing, Dano?
Pretty good.
Exactly.
158, you said, episode?
158.
My goodness, my goodness. Where have we come? Think of how far we've come along.
And would be, if you throw in the extras, we're farther than that. But it's a good idea to start numbering these. So if anybody has an issue with something, we can reference that number. People can go back and you can find the episode really easy.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Very, very important in the podcasting world.
Oh, it is. And I'd say even in the internetical world, because, I go on the website every now and then to look at old episodes and refresh my memory on stuff. And we have a ton, and it takes a while to find what you're looking for. So
yes,
that is helpful as well.
Okay, so today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, Travis Walton abduction cases is pretty one of the bread and butter of the whole abduction scenarios, if you will. So what I want to do is we're just going to kind of go through the story. If you have any questions as I go along, Pete, don't be afraid to ask.
I will not.
Because I'm just going to basically tell it from kind of start to finish. And I'll be honest, I kind of not going to focus so much on the front or the end, but the meat in the middle.
Meat in the middle.
Okay.
All fake.
Probably not.
Okay, so Travis Walton. So this happened in Apache-Sitgreaves National Forest in Arizona. So we're talking the morning of Wednesday, November 5th, 1975. So Travis Walton, 22 years old, he lived in Snowflake, Arizona, and then he was doing this, it was called the Turkey Springs tree thinning contract. He was working with his team. There was 7 in the team.
Yep, I remember, he was cutting wood.
And then this was in the Mongolian Rim area. I should probably bring up some photos so we can talk about them as we go. A lot of
onions.
A lot of these I'll show in B-roll, but here's Arizona.
Arizona. Mogollon?
Probably one of my favorite states.
Mogollon Rim.
There's no words there.
Mongolian Rim. And I think Snowflake, Arizona is about in here. It was like somewhere by this H, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I think it was about, when I figured it out, it was like a 30-minute drive to get to his tree cutting area.
So he really wasn't that far away then, if you think about it.
He said it was a little bit of a drive, but we can talk about the movie. Did you watch the movie yet?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Okay.
A long time ago.
The movie made it look like they're driving for a while and they're all tired and they're just like, ugh. And he said Travis Walton said that wasn't true. But anyway, they're there. They're cutting wood and then stacking this brush. And their job was basically to clear out the overgrowth so when the fires happen, you don't have these big forest fires like we're having in California right now.
It's you're naturally thinning it. Yep, that makes sense.
Because California doesn't allow clear cutting and forest management, but side issue. So they got done about 6:10 p.m. And it was about 5 to 10 degrees at night. So they headed north towards Rim Road. Walton was a passenger on the driver. So you got the driver. He was in the passenger seat,
riding shotgun.
And again, 7 in the truck total. So he had 4 in the back and 3 in front.
He was the night manager.
Sorry.
Almost.
Dan gave me the soundboard. So sorry, folks.
So as they were driving, they seen a light in the distance. And they thought it was the sun, but they're wait a minute, the sun set half an hour ago. Well, then they're thinking, what could that be? Hunters, headlights. And they're like, well, it could be a fire. If it's a fire, they're on their only road to get out of the damn area. So they're like, oh, we're probably going to be here a while if
it's really a fire.
Yeah, it goes south. So then they're still thinking, they got closer to it. Maybe it's a plane. Once they got up onto it, they could see right away that this thing was a UFO. Again, your circular flying saucer, your standard flying saucer craft. They got up to it, stopped the truck.
Was it in the air at this time or on the ground? Do you remember?
It's in the air. It never landed.
Okay, never landed, right? Oh, that's right. I remember from the movie, got beamed up into it or something. Spoiler alert, folks.
Yeah, well, this whole thing's a spoiler alert because I'm going to trash the movie a little bit too later on. So, be prepared.
Well, the movie was what year? What, like late 80s, early 90s, right?
I got it written down here.
So basically, if you haven't seen this damn movie, it's your own fault.
93.
93. So it was 17 years ago. It's your fault if you haven't seen it. Too bad.
So they shut the truck off. And this is where he got out and started approaching it. But let me read this quote from the book. I've read the two important chapters. Travis Walton wrote a book on this whole thing. I didn't have time to read the whole book, but I read the two good meat chapters. Quote from there is, less than 30 yards away, the metallic craft hung motionless 15 feet above a tangled pile of logging slash, hovering well below the treetops. So
oh my goodness.
So the craft itself is 15 to 25 feet off the ground. It's estimated between 15 and 20 feet in diameter. Now here's a discrepancy. Travis Walton, in another interview, he said it was less than 40 feet. So they went from saying it's estimated to 15 to 20 feet, and then another account saying less than 40.
Which I guess, they line up. It's just that,
well, people want exact. It's gotta be exact.
Yeah. He could also say it was less than a mile in diameter and he'd still be right, but anyway.
It could be 20. It could be 30. It's hard to tell too. You can't.
People are terrible judges of distance.
Take a tape measure out there or anything.
Yep.
8 to 10 feet in height, they're estimating. A dome on top. The surface was glowing, dim yellowish light. Now it had no motion or sound from the craft. Now as he got closer to it, he thought it was going to take off. So he's seen this thing out in the distance. He was approaching it, and he's like, first thing he thought is, I'm going to get closer to this thing. It's just going to take off anyway. So it's like, but it wasn't taking off, and he was starting to get really like, as he got closer and it wasn't taking off, he was starting to go slower.
Yeah, right. But remember, Dan, I've said this in the last episode. I've said it before. When you see a UFO land in your backyard, you get on it. So he's doing the right thing. I mean, he slowed down a little bit, but he's approaching it. I would do the same.
So he got 6 feet to the craft. Now, this is quoted from the book. I had become aware of a barely audible sound coming from the ship. I could detect a strange blend of low and high-pitched mechanical sounds. There were no intermittent, high, piercing, beeping points overlaid on the distant, low rumbling sound of heavy machinery. That's interesting that he's hearing noises too, because the Stefan Michalek case, he heard noises coming from. Yeah, there's some similarities.
Yeah,
to
a little
that.
bit.
For people who don't know, that was the last episode. What was it called? Falcon
Creek incident. Yep. Crazy stuff, right?
The strange tones were so mixed that it was impossible to compare them to any sound I could remember of hearing.
Oh, that's cool.
So then this thing started wobbling, and he said it sounded like a turbine generator starting up. He ducked into a crouch, and then this bright green ray shot down from the craft, and he felt a numbing force, which he described as a high voltage electrocution. At this point, he couldn't see, hear, or feel anything. He basically like blacked out. So the men in the truck seen him arc backwards, and then his arms and his legs were stretched out as he was lifted into the air.
The famous movie cover. It's the cover of the movie posters. That scene that you just described.
Which Travis Walton was saying it wasn't that long. He said they held him in the position too long. He said it was like that, and like in the movie they made it look like it was holding him there.
Yeah, and then it up into.
He's what did he say? He said he wanted to make sure He said the way the producers made the movie is they wanted to make sure someone wasn't grabbing for their popcorn and missing it or something.
Miss it, sure, right? Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, you got to theatric it up. I wonder what kind of money you got for doing that.
He didn't say, but he did get compensation.
Yeah,
for
he'd
it.
get royalties.
Yeah,
for
royalty,
it.
if you will. Yep. So he was hurled backwards 10 feet. His right shoulder hit the hard, rocky earth. The body laid limp and laid motionless. The men in the truck, they seen him lay on the ground, motionless. They kind of assumed that, hey, he's probably dead.
Let's get the heck out of here.
Start the car because it still wasn't started up. So there's that. And then this is a stick shift truck.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to grind gears and get that going. And that's important too, because the account is, because that's how they found the spot back and they knew it was the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
It was when he took the truck off, it peeled out a little bit because of letting off the clutch.
Oh, sure. He could see where the dirt was.
So they knew exactly where that was.
It's shit all over everybody. I apologize. We have a family audience.
I'm like,
you're in the inappropriate section?
I did. I saw the inappropriate tab. I had to push it, man. Okay.
So they tore off down the road about a quarter of a mile to a half a mile down. The driver, let me get their name right. I believe it was Michael Rogers said, we're going to go back and pick him up. Now the people in the truck are like, no, we don't want to go back there. We don't want to deal with that UFO. You know, what if they come and get us? And he's like, you guys can stay out of the truck. I have to go back and see if he's still alive. They all went back. In the movie, just he went back by himself. So that's a discrepancy in the movie. And that's an issue because in the movie, it makes it look like Mike could have went back and like buried the body or something.
Oh, yeah. They add that little suspense thriller in there to say, hey, Mike did something to him. Yep. But they all went back together.
All went back together.
And he was gone.
As they were approaching back, they seen the craft take off into the sky. They got there. There was no evidence of nothing.
Oh, hell no.
Clear, like, you would think you would see some impressions or something.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
But remember, this thing was hovering in the air and never landed, so it didn't leave any tripod legs, if you will.
Marks or burn marks on the ground or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the good
and Walton
stuff.
was gone, right? They came back.
He's gone at that point.
Yep, and he's gone.
And then this gets into a whole thing. I kind of decided to skip this part, but in summary, they went into town, told the sheriff, and there was a whole investigation, and they actually started thinking that they killed Travis and hid the body, and they went through all this, got the dogs out, the search team, all that stuff.
And found nothing. Yep.
So on the craft.
Do you recall when he gained his memory back? Because you're talking about in the craft here, so he obviously remembered some of his experience inside, right?
Yeah. So the whole encounter you're talking about. Yeah. Like it took a while for it all to come back.
Yeah. Do you know if was there any hypnotic regression?
Yeah,
stuff
actually, that's where he got the clarity on all this. That's how we can tell like table sizes and stuff because he was under hypnosis.
Isn't that so interesting? How so many of these cases can feather that information out of people through hypnosis.
I know how it works though because it's easy. Because I've done the QHHT stuff, which I'm not fully behind after some stuff didn't come true, folks. But I see how it works because you can put yourself in the space and slow it down, and then you can look around.
Yeah, you push everything else out, and now you've got just what you want to look at. Okay, so I digress. Go ahead.
Okay, so Walton in the craft. So as he's in this, he didn't like wake up right away and start walking. Like he would come in, his eyes like blur, and then he'd go out. Try to open them again. And then he's unconscious for a while. So when he started to gain his clarity or his ability to start functioning, so he felt badly burned all over, inside and out. He felt very weak. He could only hear sounds of movement, he could hear sounds of movement around him. If he attempted to move, he would lose consciousness. This happened a couple times. He would try to move and then
out again.
Gone. Yeah. So this tells you how bad he was damaged.
Yeah, or sedated or whatever you want to call it, right?
He said there was a bitter metallic taste in his mouth and they're very dry and thirsty. So as he got his eyes open, he saw this luminous rectangle. It was 3 feet long by 1.5 feet above him. So this is the light shining down on the table, if you will. The ceiling was triangular, about 7 feet tall, and 12 feet long on each side. So think of a triangle and think about 12 feet long. So this is a fairly small room.
Yeah, you almost think it's the inside of the craft, right? It's a dome shape. It's 7 feet high and 12-foot legs on the triangle.
One of the rooms in the craft.
Oh, so inside the craft may be bigger than outside of the craft.
Yeah, see, there's that whole thing in the UFO field too,
where you kind of enter this area and it's like bigger than what it looked like from the outside.
So he's laying on this flat surface table of some kind, he assumes, to describe it to you, because he did get up. That we'll be getting into in a minute, but I just want to give you the whole picture of it. This table, there's a single leg going up in the middle of this table, and then the floor and the table are like one piece.
Yeah.
So when we talk about these craft being
seamless,
yes. Yeah. He said everything in there was seamless, even like with the countertops and everything.
Was all just,
I believe he said there was no like drawers or cabinets either. It was just all, like a slab table, but it's like built into the wall.
Mm-hmm. Like an examination room.
Yep. So the air was hot and humid. Smell was stale and muggy. Something to think about when you think about gray aliens and how their environment needs to be.
That moist, humid stuff, right?
Yeah, it's smoggy, muggy. And he was sweating. He still had his jacket on, clothes on. He believed he was in the hospital at this point. Here's a quote from the book. I looked down and managed to hold my eyes open long enough to see that my shirt and my jacket were pushed up around my shoulders, exposing my chest and abdomen. A strange device curved across my body. It was about 4 or 5 inches thick, and I could feel that it extended from my armpits to a few inches above my belt. It curved down to the middle of each side of my rib cage. It appeared to be made of shiny, dark gray metal or plastic.
People might think you're nuts.
And another thing too about the movie, they never talked about any of this. And this is why I hate Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is the most important part of the story.
And they cut
it to all the aliens are in there chopping them up and doing all this shit. And it's like, there's this one part that's just screaming like, oh, it's like, I had to like turn the movie down. I was like, oh my God, this is crap.
Just way over dramatic.
It's like they got rid of the most important part.
Well, that's what people want to see, right? Is alien abductions, and they're doing.
That's why everybody's scared of these aliens,
needles and all that stuff.
So he felt that there was not enough air in the room. There was 3 aliens. Again, he didn't know that there were aliens at the time, but they look how they look.
Figured it out later.
I'm going to bring up this picture here. So this is kind of what he saw. So the eyes were about the size of quarters, grayish white. In orange brown suits. They're like jumpsuits, no buttons, zippers, or snaps. They're under 5 feet tall, had 5 fingers, small feet, size 4, pinkish tan footwear.
Now, fingers, do normally grays have 5 fingers? And aren't they really long too?
I think we always heard about 4, didn't we?
Yeah, and really long. Anyway, but continue.
No fingernails.
There's multiple species of aliens, so it could be cousins.
It could be another source, descendant of grays.
Yeah.
Thin-lipped mouths, narrow. They did blink.
Oh, interesting. That's kind of an anomaly, right?
Yeah, when you hear these stories, I've never heard of people saying aliens blinking, but it makes it more believable. I will say that.
If he's seeing them blink, it's a detail, right? It's a detail.
So Walton, when he finally got his control up,
so he was slowly over this time regaining
everything, and he's all, this thing's on my stomach. Oh shit, what's going on? He got up, he hit one into the other, and he said that felt spongy.
Ooh, cool.
Got on his feet. The device he had on his abdomen crashed to the floor. It had a greenish light coming out of the device. They came towards him with their hands out, like so. For those listening.
For those listening, yeah. He was holding his hands out in front of him.
Walton grabbed an 8-inch tube.
That was laying around? Or?
It was like, I believe it was on that countertop.
Yep.
Grabbed it off there. He took it and he tried to break it against the table.
A shot to get a knife or a sharp object.
Get a sharp edge on it to try to use it as a weapon.
A shiv.
Couldn't break the damn thing. It's like... So he was just basically trying to
poke him with it.
I assume like a test tube beaker is kind of what I picture.
Yeah. Transparent aluminum.
Then at this point, the aliens left the room and turned right. Walton's heart was racing a mile a minute at this point.
Yeah, mine too.
And the hall, this is out in the hallway, the curve in. So this hallway is about 3 feet wide. And again, it curves.
So kind of following the
shape of a UFO,
right? Yeah.
And then
what's interesting is that the initial description, didn't it say it was about 8 feet tall of the UFO from the outside?
Yeah.
That doesn't leave a lot of headroom, right? But anyway, continue.
Now I said the room was 7 feet tall. So it's...
Oh, yeah. So that's enough
we're within
headroom.
Dimensions.
Boy, and so,
you can also bend dimensions. And
a little bit, yeah. That doesn't leave a lot of room for material.
It's all solid state, and they know exactly... No wires? I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
So okay, so you got the hallway. He said there was no like light fixtures in this thing. It was just like the light gives a faint glow to light the hallway. He looked right down the hallway, didn't see the aliens. He went left in this curve to the right. And we're going to take a break right here, and we're going to get to the good part. So, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to go to help support us on the network and go to preparewithk2d4.com. And please help make the show possible. YouTube has been demonetizing us. You love this content. We love to give the content. Have a food supply you can eat. This is a great insurance policy. 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings in this 4-week emergency supply. You can save $100 today. Free shipping and handling. Great stuff.
Brought to us by our friends at My Patriot Supply.
My Patriot Supply. We're working with them. They're pretty good to us. They sent us a whole...
they sent us
the 4-week emergency food supply here, and we had a cheesy broccoli soup.
Yeah, we tried the cheesy broccoli soup at the last episode. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Looking forward to trying some other. Can't wait for the apocalypse to take full hold so I can tear into this and eat some.
Ripping and tearing.
And the tearing.
Great stuff. Folks, just do yourself a favor and have a few. You never know what's going to go on. These lockdowns have been crazy. We're pre-filming this, but hopefully they're done by this. This is the New Year episode. So,
oh shit! It's the New Year episode.
It's New Year's. Happy 2021.
Yeah, happy 2021. Then, any I ask you this every year.
Any requests?
Any resolutions?
Try to do everything as straight as possible, folks.
I don't know.
You? You never give me one. You have to give me one this year.
I'll think of one.
See, you put me on the spot. You can't take it back.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's preparewithk2d4.com. Have an emergency supply, folks.
Oh, I know my New Year's resolution.
What is it?
I could give two shits if people wear masks anymore.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
No, I'm done. I'm done on the mask thing.
I can stand behind that.
I feel sorry for your mother.
Excuse me.
And also, we have our own special too here on the network. This is actually, today is the 1st. I'm going to stop this sale on the 4th. So we got 3 days. Use Holiday 20 at checkout. Go to our website, k2d4network.com. The links are over here, 10% off. We got the shirts, we got the beach towels, we got the pillows, mugs. It's all there. Help support. Look at that. And the cover-up mug. I actually have both here as matching. See, I got my mug and the shirt. That would have been a great Christmas gift. And Pete has the
K2D4 Network coffee mug. Get yourself a mug, a t-shirt, and a 4-week supply of emergency food that lasts up to 25 years.
25, yeah, exactly.
All in one fell swoop.
You'll get it. Both the links are right there on our website.
Boom. And you know what? You probably got crazy uncles, crazy brothers, sisters, or people that you just want to take care of. So hook them up with some cool K2D4 gear, talk is cheap gear, and some emergency food. Might save their life.
Yeah. Okay, so looks down the hallway. Aliens ain't there. Looks to the left.
I'm going that
way. No aliens. I'm going that way. That's exactly what he said.
The no alien way.
Okay, so he went 20 feet down and then took a right. There's another doorway there. So this room is a circular room, 16 feet tall, or 16 feet wide and 10 feet high.
Ooh.
Now we're out of the dimensions of what the original.
What would they estimated it at? Yeah.
There was 8 to 10 feet.
Yeah, but you still got material, actually, shipped material in there too. So that's starting to
push it.
Yes, it is.
The constructors were pushing their boundaries on this.
Well, when you're messing with space-time continuum stuff and warping gravitational fields, you might get a little extra real estate out of the deal. Who knows?
Yeah. So this is the most important part about this story, and I love this part. So he got in this room. There's a chair in the middle. It's facing away. He doesn't know if there's a being in that chair or not. So he's kind of
creeping
up, making sure that there's not one of those aliens sitting in the chair.
Probably has his test tube at the ready, just in case. That he was using to swing it.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he dropped that.
You might have come across that he dropped it. I just figured, he had it, but maybe not.
But approaching with caution, he's making sure nobody's in that chair. He finally gets around it and realizes nobody's in there. He's relieved, of course. But the interesting thing about this room, as he approaches the chair, the room actually goes translucent, and you can see the stars all over.
All of a sudden,
ceiling,
it just
floor,
goes transparent. You're surrounded by space. So he's up in space at this point.
And that's what you would figure. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is all how he describes it. So you can see the stars. The chair itself has switches, and then I believe there was a knob, and on the right side there's like a screen. These buttons didn't have any words on them. He's seen 2 green buttons. He's trying to get out of this craft, folks.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
He sees 2 green buttons, so he pushes them. It does. The only thing he sees that it does is it moves this grid on the screen, on the right side of the chair that it's sitting on. He sits down in the chair. He moves the joystick, and then the stars start moving around him.
Oh, so he's driving the...
That's what you assume.
Yeah, right.
Now, is that what's happening, or is this an observatory room? Or
yeah, right. Or is it some...
There's a lot of stuff that you could think of. But yeah, I would assume that he's driving it. So he decided he shouldn't be playing this anymore for safety reasons.
Good. Safety first, Dan. He just got abducted by aliens. Safety first.
In case he hits a star or a planet or something.
He takes it through a supernova or something. Yeah, he probably should have thought of that when he was first started walking up to the UFO, but...
You said walk up no matter what.
I know, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's the safest thing to do, Dan. But
what's the matter?
If he's worried at this point about safety, he should have thought about it earlier.
So finally, a muscular man appears in the doorway.
Oh.
He is 6'2". He's wearing tight-fitting blue clothing, long hair, strange eyes. He said they're about bright golden hazel.
Which ones are those, Dan? I
like a Nordic.
Yeah, it is a Nordic. Okay. So basically, they called security.
Well,
the aliens ran out.
If you want to break this down, what I think happened is these Greys saw that he woke up. They didn't want him to wake up. And then because he was so startled by them, they went and found another alien race that looked like us so they can calm him down.
Oh.
That's my guess.
Oh, that's interesting.
So he was also...
I figured it was security, but okay. Got the bouncer involved.
That's funny. Why would you need a bouncer when you could just use one of their alien tools and probably zap him?
Like laser rays. Why didn't they just show a light in his face and he'd pass out again? But anyway.
So he's also, interesting thing, he's wearing a space helmet over him.
Oh.
So this is why he kind of thought it was somebody from Earth. Hey, they got setting up somebody from NASA to help me out. So he's trying to talk to him, and then the guy wouldn't say anything. And he motioned for him to follow him. He did smile at one point, and then he took Walton by his left arm and then escorted him into a cubicle room. Remember, as he's going down the hallway here, this hallway is only 3 feet wide.
Yep.
So you can't really walk side by side, so he's kind of behind, getting pulled behind this dude here.
6 foot 2 inches is a pretty good estimate too. So.
Yeah. And then they went into this cubicle room and they spent 2 minutes in here. Now you can speculate that this was a elevator of some kind.
Oh, sure, right.
Or maybe
I was thinking
a transport or something.
Yeah, I was thinking decontamination room.
Or that too.
Yeah,
there's anything.
Eventually a door opened.
But thinking back real quick, the helmet. So he's wearing a helmet so he can breathe in that ship. Remember, it was hard to breathe in there?
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
I just wanted to relay that.
That was his air filtration device or whatever, yeah.
Okay, so he's in this room, cubicle room, 2 minutes. The door opened, and then he exited the ship, and you could see, like, he describes it as like a daylight color. If you could see the fresh air right away.
He went, he gets that.
And then his headache disappeared. Keep in mind, I should have mentioned this. He has a headache the whole time he's in this spacecraft trying to do all this, defend himself from these aliens. It's like a breaking, bold headache.
Well, you think about it, you just got hit by a green gamma ray tractor beam thing. You get knocked to the ground. You get taken up. God knows what experiments done before you ever wake up. Yeah, so a headache's probably understandable.
Springfield.
There's a ramp on this craft that went down at a 45-degree angle, and he said there was like a rubber surface to it, so you can actually walk down and grip it. Because he said otherwise you'd probably slide.
45 degrees is a sharp angle to be walking down. Man.
What is the OSHA standard for an angle? Do you know?
For like ADA for ramps, it's like 4 inches for every 3 feet or something crazy like that. I don't have standards memorized, but anyway. But yeah, no, that's 45 degrees. That's a steep hill
for sure. So as he got off into this, or what I kind of presume is like a mothership or a docking bay of some place.
So he's not sure he's actually on a planet at this point.
Yeah, he's not sure. Yeah, it could be a planet.
He's just in a big hangar room type area.
And actually,
with other spapeships.
There is a drawing here. I'm going to bring this up. This is what he's describing. The room was a cylinder shaped like this. He got his ramp. He came down and he's got 2 other, what he presumed to be ET craft here.
Super shiny metallic.
And he said these are more round than the saucer one he came out of. So that's what he was seeing. So then he's getting
escorted still to someplace.
He's taken to another room. So now in this room, there's 2 men and 1 woman there. They're not wearing any helmets. And he said she was pretty attractive, had sandy blonde hair. They were trying to get him to lay on this other table, and he was very against doing that because all this stuff was so new, and he's trying to put up a fight, and they're calming him down nicely and slowly, getting him to lay down on the table finally.
Yep.
And then once they get him to lay on the table, they put this clear plastic mask on him.
And he blacked out.
And then he blacked out. He said there's also actually, I have a picture here.
So, Danny, attractive sandy blonde woman. Reminds me of that episode that Dusty did years ago where that guy had that sex with that really hot looking blonde alien. Remember that?
Which one was that?
Well, and I don't want to get too graphic here, but the pubic hair was embedded in this.
I never said anything. Or that was my episode.
That was your episode? Maybe I just remember Dusty because of the way he reacted to that.
I don't remember if it was the blonde hair, though.
I thought it was a good looking alien woman, right?
It was good, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounded like it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. They're both good looking.
So this is what he was seeing as he was coming down. This is like one of those, for those listening, kind of like you'd be in the hospital, like a breathing.
Like a laughing gas.
Oxygen mask.
Or like, you're going to get laughing gassed or something.
He said that's all he's seen was this black dot on it, like a golf ball size, which must be where the gas comes out of.
Yeah. Kind of looks like one of those really high-end CPR masks, too, with the one-way valve in them.
So then at this point...
I like their hair though, man.
At this point, he blacks out. That's it. And then he wakes up. He's on the pavement outside. He's seen the ship take off, and then he has to walk 6 miles to town. Gets to a phone booth, and then he has to use the operator at this point. Get in contact with his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law picks up, and his brother-in-law thought this was a joke at first. He's like, Travis, pick me. He's all scared and stuff. Come pick me up. And then he thought
someone was pranking him.
Yes. Yep.
Because I'm sure it was probably all over the news. There were search parties, all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
They did get pranked a few times.
I'd imagine so. People are sick like that.
So then they finally came and picked him up. At the end, he thought he spent an hour to an hour and a half inside. But then he noticed his beard growth, and then he was informed that he's been missing for 5 days.
Oh, boy. He must have been hungry.
Yeah, I believe he was thirsty for sure, dehydrated.
You'd think they would know enough to keep him alive with that, but...
You'd think. I don't know if they just try to sedate him and save a couple bucks or what.
Yeah.
How are your finances going?
So that's the base of the story right there. And I want to get into what Walton believes. So when he woke up, he believes he was actually in a medical recovery. And I believe this when he was telling the story the whole time. That device on there was healing him from when he fell, got smashed up against the rocks. So they were basically trying to get him back to normal and return him. And he ended up waking up, when he shouldn't have. So some interesting things also after the fact, the trees where the craft was, there's actually advanced growth. And they measured these on
these are cross sections of trees that they cut.
Well, this is an illustration.
Oh, it's an illustration. It's a really good illustration. I thought it was like really them laying
But this is what we're talking about. For those listening, you cut a tree in half. You can see the circles,
the rings, and typically they're round.
And then they basically go more oblong towards where the craft would have been. So all around this area where the craft is in the center, and you can think the trees are around it, and then every part that's facing this craft had a oblong growth,
like an egg shaped with the narrow end of the egg pointing toward the center of the circular craft. That's an illustration. That's really good.
Yeah. Oh, that's not hard to make. Or I shouldn't say illustration, like a Photoshop, like you take a tree and stretch it on fake grass.
Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty good.
So that's interesting because you would think
so these trees are basically pointing in the direction of where that craft is.
So what's interesting about it is you would think if there was a craft, there was radiation, like everything should be dead in that area, and you can't
Well, certain radiation will mutate, right?
But they also found this came up in the thing too. The growth is accelerated in Chernobyl area too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Interesting thing. The guy that was next to him was Kenny, and he developed skin cancer on the arm that was closest to the craft. So the door was open.
Yep.
And he was getting that shot. With this case, they all took polygraph tests. Well, one was hesitant, but he finally came around and did it. All the crew took these polygraph tests, aka lie detector tests, but not, you know how polygraphs works or not.
Yeah.
Exactly, lie detectors, but they all passed. Very interesting.
Yeah, they didn't fail.
We can read up some of the quotes here from each of the members.
Oh, that's cool. And these are the guys, huh?
Yep.
And it looks like these photos were taken very shortly after the incident. They're young kids in their 20s by the looks of it.
I would say before the incident, because I think they have their logging gear on. A lot of them actually didn't work again after this.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. This is probably like some stock footage.
So we got Dwayne Smith. He said the UFO was smooth and was giving off a yellowish orange light. That ray was the brightest thing I've ever seen in my whole life, declares Steve Pierce. John Goulet states, I know what I saw, and it wasn't anything from this earth. And then we have the boss.
Yep.
Michael Rogers.
This is a good quote. It's awesome.
I've been working these woods for over 10 years, and this is the damnedest thing that ever happened to me. In 1995, he added, I've been working these woods for over 30 years, and this is still the damnedest thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mr. Rogers. Now, do you have a picture of Travis today or anything like that? Or
we can.
We didn't actually ever see a picture of Travis.
Well, this is his. This is what he used to look like when he was doing his wood cutting.
How old was he at the time? 22. He's older than 22 in that photo, isn't he? Don't you think?
Well, remember when you talk about 70s.
Yeah, I mean, he's got
a lot older.
And you know what? They did talk about beard growth. I mean, he's got a big mustache in that picture, so maybe he's just good at growing a beard. Is Travis Walton still alive today?
Yeah, he's actually does UFO conferences and stuff.
Oh, awesome! Is that him?
Yeah, this is him here. He's not afraid to talk about it. He's pretty open.
Boy, he's old.
Yeah, he's a lot older now.
Yeah, maybe about 30 years, 35.
And these are some artist renditions of the craft. Like, here's a side where they're saying the first room was, and then the round circular part where the dome was, the corridor. They're presuming an airlock.
That would make sense. Yeah, that 10-foot room was the dome.
And then when he landed, this is how he got walked off. He went through a hallway here and then got on this table.
And then he was unconscious. And then he woke up.
There's another part of the craft real quick.
Oh, cool.
This
It's
kind
like
of
a gaming chair.
Yeah.
So aliens still have to sit down.
Yeah, they haven't conquered that yet.
No. What's that road picture there? 08.
Oh, this is just an illustration of when he got up. I'm going to put a lot of these through the B-roll
that he got up and there's the ship taking off. Okay. That's too bad that we don't have any better pictures of the site. And didn't you say Dan, that they never disclosed the actual location?
Yeah, he says he doesn't disclose the location because he doesn't want people to go there and cut trees and, take them as a sample or use them as a souvenir or anything like that. He knows where it is. Presumably, as I was watching, there was a documentary I'm putting in the description. Presumably, this is the place. I don't know if it's exactly where it was. They kind of made it look like that in the documentary, that this is what the spot was, but who knows? Take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. It would be really cool to find next time he's doing a conference or something and dress up as gray aliens, like
aliens,
and like.
Sure, he hasn't had that happen before.
Meet up with him out in the parking lot.
So again, the movie was called Fire in the Sky. It's got Robert Patrick in it, who is also the T-1000 in Terminator. And
which Terminator 2?
Terminator 2 is a T-1000.
Yeah, where the liquid metal, right?
Yeah.
That's the guy from Filter's brother, right? Pretty sure the band Filter, anyway.
Yeah. And he said he was compensated for the movie. He also was on the set as they were making
that's
it.
Cool.
So it's just a couple interesting tidbits.
I see you got one more photo there on the right, to the right of Travis. It says tree growth. What's that one?
That we looked at that.
No, the one to the right. You're on the right. Keep going. There you go. Try that.
Oh, well.
What is that? That looks like an authentic.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. It's a little, that's an actual piece of the wood here. That they've taken a cross section of and a little sliver out of, and you can count the rings, and they have marked on there winter of 75, 76. And like leading up to that, the ring growth is really small. And then after that,
kicks in wider. So the gaps are wider between rings.
Yeah. It's like 4 or 5 times wider from there on out for the however many more years. All right. That's what I wanted to see. I saw that was one we didn't look at.
So that was about it, folks. I just wanted to get to the good part and let you have it. And the whole thing's there. If you're really interested in it, read the book. But that's the whole gist of the whole story.
And you haven't come across any health issues with Travis or anything like that?
No, because that's another thing I think they were doing too, is they fixed the radiation issue that he would have gotten being that close.
Is that they fixed him for that? So, there's no unusual scars. They didn't find any implants, anything like that. So what the hell did they do to him, Dan?
What did they do to him?
Yeah, what do you think they did to him up there?
You're talking a week. I don't know how fast their healing technology is, but that's a lot of healing too.
So you think that they felt bad?
Sounds like
that they hurt him?
They're probably ready to take off because he did say the sounds were starting to rev up. They're probably sitting there. Remember when you're in this dome room, you can see everything.
Yeah, but the beam picked him up and then threw him basically.
They're probably ready to take off, and then it goes to organic matter or something if you're too close to it. And they saw it, it's like, oh shit, not one of those humans came in the damn way.
Son of a bitch.
Beamed him up.
Let's get him healed and return him quick.
Oh boy, that's interesting. Well, if they're the good aliens, they would do that, right?
Oh, interesting thing too. I used to have a dream. I had a dream once that every man should be created equal.
I was just going to say something like that. But okay, continue.
A ship landed. I was in this dream. I saw this UFO land. I was behind a rock. I was really making sure to be cautious about it. I got behind a rock, wait for them to walk out of the craft because I want to see who the hell it is. If it's grays, I'm not going up there. At this time, I was really afraid of grays.
Are you still afraid of grays? Would you go up?
I would probably approach them now. I don't know. See what happens.
How about lizards? If you saw lizard
probably
people.
Not lizards. But they came out. I saw it was grays, and I was like, that was about the end of that. But it was an interesting experience. Now the real question is, was I being tested?
Bunch of cowards.
Oh, you're like an interview on kind of a pre-interview on a pre-abduction interview. Is this guy worthy of
if we land, will he actually not run away or?
Yeah. Yep. And you didn't, so maybe you passed, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Because you remember, Dan, always get on the UFO, man.
Oh yes.
So there, we'll go with that for words of wisdom.
Yep.
Always get on
always get on that UFO.
All right, later, folks.
Talk is cheap.
Bye-bye.